Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
We're going to talk about the DLC for Vampire Survivors, which was called the Ode to Castlevania. So
Yes.
Doug played this on his Steam Deck, I believe, correct?
Yeah, of course. Any PC game we're playing from now until the next 10 years is going to be on Steam Deck.
I'm gonna keep saying it though, like it's a super impressive thing that you have a Steam Deck, just because I really want one. But anyway,
well, no, now we can put Steam Deck impressions on the title.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Doug played Ode to Castlevania, the new Vampire Survivors DLC, which is focused on just bringing in Castlevania characters and lore and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what it is, because it seemed like one of those things that's like, it's not just a pack of like skins and character pack. It felt like they were doing more than that, but I couldn't quite tell what more they were trying to do.
Yeah, the DLCs are kind of interesting for Vampire Survivors. It really stretches, like, it's kind of funny now, especially the Castlevania one. Like, they keep trying to do new things in whatever the Vampire Survivors engine is, but it's really not built for it. So they just keep trying to like stretch and stretch and stretch. It's like, and you could feel the game's like kind of about to break in half with what they're trying to do with like the last few new DLCs. But so what they usually do for a lot of these ones is they'll introduce like a new map. So I had actually played through the Contra DLC, the Among Us DLC, and this DLC all within the last week. And I think I have like 80 or 9. I think I have 80 hours now in Vampire Survivors. Yeah. So
I do think it's worth.
Yeah.
I do think it's worth mentioning that we both absolutely loved Vampire Survivors when it came out.
Yeah.
So I think 80 to 90 hours, like, okay, yeah, that's nothing in this game.
Yeah. Well, each run's a half hour, and you get to a point where you just win every run. So it's just like, well, this is what I'm doing for the next half hour. Which I'll talk about a little bit later. So the other Castlevania is kind of interesting. So it's like one really, really, really big map as far as like Vampire Survivors is concerned. And you can play, like, you have to unlock Castlevania characters by doing certain things. And how the map is laid out, it's like you're slowly going up. You'll like start kind of like outside Dracula's castle, and you're slowly going into Dracula's castle. And the thing that's kind of like unique about this one is that it has like mini bosses. So on the map, you'll have like 10 different mini bosses that you can also go against, like as you're traveling the map. So it's like, yes, you can go up to like maybe get to the end of the level sort of thing, but along the way, you can go to these specific areas to fight like famous Castlevania bosses. So So it is kind of neat, like kind of going out, and because like they do really nice pixel art, and like it's kind of weird though because Vampire Survivors already apes Castlevania so much.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like as uniquely like I played the Among Us DLC. That feels very unique compared to Vampire Survivors. Like originally, the Contra DLC feels very unique compared to like the standard Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors Castlevania, like mechanically, it's a little bit different. But like genuinely, it's like hard to tell. Like when you're like you unlocked this Castlevania character, like boy, they really ripped these guys off for Vampire Survivors, and so it's kind of neat. Like as like you're on your different runs, you're fighting these mini bosses and like trying to get to the end of the level, and it's like it takes you like if you try and beat every mini boss to get to the end, it will take you like a full half hour of a run because a lot of times during a run. You kind of clear out the whole map in around like 15, 20 minutes, and then you're just kind of staying alive for the rest of it. But this one, it's like you actually are traveling for the full half hour. So it's kind of neat mechanically.
Does it make you feel like you have an objective then, like at the end? Like my goal is to get to this, or is it just you're kind of walking through and hitting mini boss? Because everything, I mean, normal Vampire Survivors, it's all just like coming to you.
Yes. So the other way, you're traveling to the end. I don't want to spoil it, but like, the end part, like once you get there, one of the problems with Vampire Survivors in general is like the games have a lot of secrets, but they're the type of secrets of like you gotta Google it secrets, as opposed to like I feel like there's like secrets you run into naturally, secrets you run to clean up, and then secrets because there's no way you would figure this on your own, and then the internet just kind of like broke it to figure like they like a million monkeys on a million typewriters figured out how to get all the secrets of Vampire Survivors. So like a lot. So to even like finish this DLC, like I had to like Google it to like figure out like how do I actually like beat this thing. So it's kind of disappointing in that regard because what happened was in my first two runs, I had cleared out every mini boss. in the game and had gotten to the end and there was nothing there. And then I was like Googling around trying to figure out like, well, what do I have to do this? And it takes like a long time to actually like get to the final thing. But so like and after a while, like we don't usually do this. I didn't even finish the DLC because I kept unlocking characters and then just like winning my 30 minutes, beating every mini boss. And I was just like, well, okay, I guess I just have to do this 10 more times or in this specific order or whatever. I just was kind of like done with it. Because, and this is the thing, like, I don't quite know what Vampire Survivors is when you're not 80 hours in, because I'm 80 hours in, I have all this stuff unlocked. So every 30-minute run, I will just win unless I'm like really not paying attention. I'll just win. So like I beat this whole DLC in 2 runs. Then I was just like, oh, well, I guess I now just have to like read online of how to really beat it. And it just didn't feel like, I don't know. It feels like Vampire Survivors has like really kind of run its course. I think this would be super cool though if you're a Castlevania fan, because it literally has like almost every important Castlevania character. It is kind of fun, like how also like when you get a new Castlevania lead, they all have whips as their like main weapon, or like most of them do. But then all their whips react slightly differently depending on what game they're from, and like in their own sort of like unique way. So it is kind of cool, like as you're unlocking the characters, and like it really reminded me of kind of like those Astrobot sort of like character you pick up, where like, oh my god, I can't believe they got so and so, but I have like no context for Castlevania. So it's like,
how many Castlevania games have you played?
1,
2,
maybe 3, maybe 2. So it's just like it was just like getting a new guy, and like they all kind of like worked like a little bit differently mechanically. But it's kind of interesting because I had played all of the other DLCs right before this as well, and there's like, once you kind of like, because I'm so far in Castlevania and Vampire Survivors, like after a while you kind of realize like the DLCs and maps, like it doesn't really matter, because like the weapons are working different kind of, but you're still getting the same spot where there's a bunch of shit on screen, and then you're just destroying everything. So like, does each weapon even matter? You know what I mean? It's like, if the result at the end is the same, like, do any of this stuff really matter? Yeah.
I think that's my issue with Vampire Survivors as a whole, is I feel like there's like this like really nice curve, like build up to it, where it's like, oh, this is really cool, this is really cool, and then just like hard plateaus for a little bit, and then every run after that just feels like a downward slope of like, okay, well, like I've done this 100 times before, so there's like that really nice spot in the middle, like 8 to 10 hours in, where like, this is incredible and this is fun, like, oh yeah, I did it, look at this. And then once you hit that like 15-20 hour mark, you're just like, I did it. Like, why am I doing this? Like, everything died.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually funny. It's like, actually reminds me, there's a Twilight Zone episode where this guy, I haven't seen the episode. I've only heard it described because my dad always likes to talk about it, where this guy, he dies and he ends up in sort of like, he's not sure if he's in heaven or hell. And he's at a bar and it has like a little like casino thing in the corner, and he pulls the slot machine and he wins. He's like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then he pulls it again and he wins again. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And then he just keeps pulling it, and then he realizes he's in hell, and like he's just stuck in this kind of like bar that has a casino that he always wins. So I'm kind of like there now. But the first few times you win it, like you said, it's very exciting. But now I'm just kind of like that. It really doesn't matter, because like it feels like, because you get so many cool weapons, like you now have 20 more weapons and you get 40 more characters and you get to fight, whatever many characters, but really a lot of it just kind of burns down to a bunch of shit is going to be on screen, and then the enemies don't really have that like unique moves. They're just kind of like following you, so it's just kind of like it's almost like skin packs or something like that. I don't know how else to describe that, but just like texture packs of like, here's your Ode to Castlevania texture pack. It's like, all right. Yeah.
And that was kind of my impression of this, because you were like, well, maybe you should buy it too, and then you can play when you both talk about it. And I kind of like this, like, this just sounds like skins in a map. Like, that's kind of what it sounded like when I was like looking into it. And it was just, like I said, I kind of got to that point where I'm like, all right, I'm good with Vampire Survivors. And I've played 7 or 8-ish Castlevania games, and I don't have like the lore knowledge to be like, oh yay, this Belmont showed up, and ooh, this weapon from and then like I don't have that affinity for it. It's a series I enjoy playing, but I don't have that like nostalgia piece for it. So like, I don't know if this is going to interest me. So I think like I'm curious. I feel like there'd be a sweet spot for this. If you were like a diehard Castlevania fan who
Yeah.
only beat Vampire Survivors like 1 or 2
Yeah.
times, like this
Yes,
might be the
exactly.
greatest thing ever
Yeah.
based on how you're describing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, you're totally right. It is interesting though because it feels like Vampire Survivors, like they're trying to do interesting and new things with this DLC, and like they're just hitting the limits of whatever the engine of Vampire Survivors is. Like there are
Yeah,
really cool ideas here that just aren't working as well because of Vampire Survivors. The Contra DLC was very similar. The Among Us DLC, they're all introducing like kind of cool ideas. It's like, boy, I'll bet they can make these ideas way cooler if they just made a Vampire Survivors 2 and were able to actually like, implement this stuff for real.
yeah.
As opposed to trying to like, they almost feel like mods to an extent of like you really are breaking
Oh
the
yeah,
game to kind of make it work the way you want it to, and it's like it's like neat and kind of like, and the thing's like only $4. So like if you're a Vampire Survivors fan
yes,
and you're a Castlevania fan, just go get this DLC. But if you're just like somebody who's like, if you're 50 hours into Vampire Survivors and you're kind of bored with it, this is not going to be like the new reinvigoration of like, oh, it's so much
yeah.
better now and changed everything. So that's kind of where I landed with it.
Makes sense, especially not being a big
Yeah.
Castlevania fan. You're buying
Yeah.
you're buying the Star Wars skins for a game that you already played.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Anyway, we are Workforce Gaming. Leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel. There's links to support us on coffee as well. We'll see you later.
Bye.